Alrighty, day 2 of the wheels. We've got the most of them over there on the little work table, ready to go, lined up. Critical thing here is today's step 2 is the backs, and if you can see, the wheel thickness from the face to the back is a 1/2 inch, and then there's a 1/16 of an inch additional thickness for the hub, and that's critical for the axle spacing and all that. So that's what we're accomplishing with step 2. And what I've got done here, I've got the forejaw cleaned off, and I've touched off the cutting tool to the face of one of the jaws here, and I set my DRO on the Z-axis to 0. I'll go do the X as well. But now I can place a wheel in there, and then I know that as long as the front part of the wheel is flush with the jaws, then what I'm indicating is, back to a 1/2 inch. So that's the idea here. That's the next step. And as you can see, although you don't need to do this, they don't have to be centered at all. It just takes an extra second, and it's kind of a convenient, handy idea. I put a 5/16 inch rod in the drill chuck, and I can use this. I've already done it to basically preset the jaws on the forejaw chuck, so they're roughly in position to accept the wheel and have it centered. So I can back the carriage back, put the wheel up in place, and then tighten the forejaw around that wheel and accomplish the machining. So I'll bring you back as we make a little progress on this and show you the actual machining in a second. Here we are machining. This is the first cut across the back side of the last wheel. Just capture a little bit of it. You can see how much filings I've collected. I did find out my DRO indicates a little bit off, so I've had to adjust. My first wheel that I did this method, it was a little thin, so I've added a little bit to my numbers, a little trial and error. You can see it's cleaning up really nice. I'll tell you what, I'll bring you back for the last pass. Basically, I've been having to remove about a 1/16 of an inch off the back side of each. So I've been taking roughly 20 thou per pass. So I'll bring you back for the final pass. Alrighty, this will be a wrap for tonight. Second day of machining. So just to recap, in this step 2, we face off the back basically, get the wheel to an overall thickness of a half an inch, and then the little hub on the back is an extra 1/16 of an inch. So 0.5625 overall thickness. Like I pointed out, the first 1 or 2 I had to adjust. They came in a little bit on the thin side, a couple thou, so I had to adjust my settings for my DRO, and ended up with a nice set of blanks here. So that's what the front and backs look like. Next thing to do, I got to clean up the lathe, get rid of all the cast iron dust. Of course, I'll do that now. And then tomorrow I can come back and turn this little stub down into an arbor that uses a 5/16 18 nut. I've got some old washers here that I can use to hold the wheel on, and we'll leave a significant center portion here, a 3/4 inch portion, and that when we machine the wheels, this part will be flush up against them. Another important consideration, you don't have to do this, but I've left the lathe locked at the 3-degree angle that I used for machining the brake shoes, which is just a nice thing to do. It'll guarantee that the angle of the wheels is exactly the angle of the inside of the brake shoes. So let me show you how dirty the lathe is. Look at that. It's an incredible amount of cast iron. There's a bag with a magnet inside here. That's going to be my first thing to do, is take that out, and then I can I'm just going to throw away the t-shirt strips and the blue towel rags, and then we can actually clean up. I'll use the bag and magnet trick again to clean up as many excess scraps as I can, and then the brush. I have a great big painter's brush that I use for dusting stuff off, so it'll be a little project here. Alright, getting ready to make the arbor so we can finish up the wheels. I couldn't resist taking out the axles and test fitting and seeing what they look like and how they fit. So that's exciting to me anyway. Looks pretty good. Just a little action shot of reducing that hub down to the 5/16 inch diameter that I need for the axle. Just take it all the way down. We've got quite a ways to go yet. See all the swarf down there. And then we'll thread it. Get it all ready. I'll bring you back. Here I am threading the 5/16 18 portion. Just getting about ready to engage the cross nut. Here we go. Should be done in a minute here. I forgot to make the undercut, so I'm just letting it sit there. Mark my depth, undo it, take it out. And I'll double check this here and bring you back. What I did want to point out, I left this portion a few thou fat. This was right on 5/16, and I could slide a wheel on no problem. This one is a couple thou fat. I left it that way on purpose so I can file it down to a snug fit for the wheels. Okay, the little arbor is complete. You can see I've got the threading complete. I got a little nut on there to test fit. And I've got right exactly at a 1/2 inch of the barrel that'll support the wheel. And as you'll remember, the body of the wheel is a 1/2 inch thick, but there's also the hub on the back, which is a 1/16. So this gives us 1/16 of compression, if you will. It's not really going to compress, but you get the idea. It'll hold the wheel snugly on the arbor. So the next thing I need to do, I need to put an undercut in here and make sure that this this face is square. So I'm going to do that real quick. And then finally we'll polish up with a file. I'll just, like I said, it's about 4 thou oversized. So I'll just take like 5 or 6 licks with a file while it's running. Test fit a wheel. Just keep doing that until the wheel will just barely slide on and it'll be perfect. Well, and it's worked out perfectly. A few strokes with the file is all it took. You can see I got a nice clean surface there, and fits just perfectly, slides on. It's actually just a teensy bit snug, not really, but it's rattle free and fits on there. So as you can see, there's plenty of thread, so I'll be putting a washer or two and then the nut on and tightening it up. And my plan is to leave the wheels in this orientation and machine the tread and the rim with the wheel facing this way, just like it shows in the picture, because that way I can keep the 3-degree angle set. That, as I mentioned, that's the exact. I haven't moved this from when I did the brake shoe, so it'll be the exact same angle. I'm going to double check and make sure it fits with all the wheels. It should, because they should all be the same. But I'll do that, and we'll come back and we'll start turning the wheels tomorrow night. All right, just finished working on step 4 on the first wheel, and the taper part came out really good. I got the thickness correct, the 3/32, and the overall wheel diameter to 2 inches on the rim here, and the tapered, it's like 1.8125. So got that all done. I do need to put the angle cuts in here and round the flange, but what I'm gonna do, I'll take this wheel off. I'm gonna do a second wheel, get all 8 wheels to exactly this stage, because I can do that without changing any of the settings. I don't have to change the 10-degree angle or the setting of the cutter, anything like that. So I'll get them all like this, and then I'll come back for a final step where I change the settings here to that 10-degree little back angle here and 10-degree in the front. There's not going to be much material there, but you can see that, you know, needs to have a little angle put to it and rounded. So I'll shut the camera off now, chuck up another one. I think now that I've figured out and made sure my process is good, I'll videotape some or most of the process of machining the next wheel. Alright, I got Russ's camera set up. Basically, directly behind the wheel. I'm going to see how well this works. We've machined the first wheel casting last night. I got the second one ready to go, and I'm just going to proceed. I'm going to start with very minimal narration here, do a few passes, and then when I finish I'll cut it off partway through and then talk about what we got. But before I start the motor running, the lathe ways are protected. I've got the carbide cutter directly in line to begin, and I'm going to manipulate the cross slide. The angle is set at 3 degrees. I'll advance the cutter into the wheel casting just enough to make contact, and I'll rotate the screw on the cross slide back to bring it back at the 3-degree angle, and we'll be thinning out the web here on the end of the edge of the wheel, the rim, by this side of the cutter here. So let me just start, and hopefully this makes sense and is interesting to you. Just advancing it, you'll hear it when it starts to make contact. Make like a scraping noise. There we go. I'm going to mark my 0 on both axes of the DRO, and now I'll start cranking it. It's going to move the cutter at the 3-degree angle. Gently advance it all the way into the rim, because we have about 30 thousandths worth of thickness of material to remove there. So each pass I'm going to take off a few thou. Just kind of clean it up as we go. It feels like enough there. I don't really want to engage it. So I'll crank this back. Clean off my cutter, clean off the wheel. I'll stop the camera for a second so you can see the wheel is just getting started to clean up. So I'm going to turn the machine back on. I'm going to advance the x-axis about 15 thou, and then I'll take another pass. Start to make contact, so I'll just back it off. Alright, move it forward. Clean things off. It's looking good. It's not all the way cleaned up yet. There's no sense really miking the wheel. I'll take one more pass with a 15 thou cut, and then I'll mic it. There's about 60 thou or more that needs to be removed. I'll just, yeah, you can see it's not even cleaned up all the way around. So one more pass and then we'll measure it. So now do the easy part. Use a micrometer, get the thickness, and that's 110 thou, so that still needs to come down a good bit. And then what I've been using is this inexpensive but very accurate digital micrometer from Harbor Freight. We're looking for 1.8125, and yeah, see, I don't know if you can read this up tight, it's 1.86, so just under 50 thou still to come off of there. But what I'm going to cut the camera off in a second because it's obvious the pattern. So I'll probably, you know, machine it 2 more times. Excuse me, 2 more times, identical to what I've done. 2 more passes, very light, very smooth. Mic it again, and then for the final machining, I'll take measurements in between each pass, and I can adjust my depth of cut. So hope that's interesting. I think this is, to me, this is so much fun. I really enjoy it. I hope you do too. All right, just like that, we've got the rim right down to 94 thou. Looking good there. When I pull it off, it goes bigger, but if you can see that, yeah, hopefully you could. It was 94 when it was on there. And I got the outer diameter right to spec as well. So, or excuse me, yeah, the outer diameter, I guess you'd call it. So next thing I'm going to do is just, I'll show you, but to machine this down to the 2-inch diameter. Let's see what's it at right now. It's huge. It's got to come down mightily. Yeah, it's almost 2 1/4, 2.2, 233 thou need to be removed there. So I'm going to keep this handy, and I'll just show you my process. Not that this is a best practice necessarily, but it works for me. Taking off about 20 thou, or a setting of about 20 thou, so it's only 10 thou. If you're wondering why I'm taking such light cuts, it's because, remember, this is just held on to the mandrel by that little nut and bolt situation there. It's not like a piece of work that's being gripped in a chuck or something. So that's 60. It's still not all the way cleaned up. 80. Yeah, it feels like we've got a continuous cut now. We'll go to 100 and then we'll stop and mic it just to see if we're on track. Stop the lathe. Mic it real quick. Yeah. Needs 162 thou, 163 thou need to come off now. So I'm going to stop the camera. I'll just keep repeating the process until we get down to 2 inches. Okay, I finished up. I mic'd it. It's right at 2 inches now. Voila. You can read that upside down. So we're looking good. I'm just going to take the file and knock off any sharp edges. Not really terribly necessary, because the important thing is, after I unlock this, remove this wheel and mount another one, when we get all done, I'll have to come back, and then I can reset my carriage and put the 10-degree cuts on there and file. There needs to be a little bit of angle on this so it can go through points and so forth. So let me just knock off this sharp edge. There we go. All right, that's enough. I guess since I got the camera running, I guess let me go ahead and unlock this. There we go. Take the wheel off. So that's what it looks like. Too much fun. It's funny looking at these castings, excuse me. I can still remember when I got the castings in the box. I was thinking how cool it would be to machine these little wheels. But they're very nice, very much fun. Cast iron, as you can see, machines beautifully. It does make kind of a mess, but if you prepare, you know, I got a magnet in a bag underneath this shirt here. It's catching all the filings. The cleanup will actually be pretty easy. So on to the next wheel. Okay, getting ready to cut the first angle. I made some little scribe marks here, about 1/16 thou either side, because we're going to end up with a 1/16 inch radius, so there's not a lot of material going to take off. I'm not going to video me doing this, but I'm just going to use the cross slide. I'm going to feed the carriage over, and use the cross slide for the depth of cut. And when I get to the line, then I'll stop, and I can lock the carriage down, and then I can use that same setting for this cut on all the successive wheels. Well, that really was fast. This is the last of all 8 wheels that I've cut the inside cut, and I'm glad I took the time to do the setup. I wanted to point out I scribed a couple lines at 1/64 or about 15/16 thou in from each end, and that's the line I was attacking to with making the inside cut, and that's what I'll be doing for the outside cut as well. If you can see also, there looks like there's a little line here. Let me get my finger in the way. Right there. That'll file out. I'm going to use a little rounded file and a flat file to finish that perfect edge onto the rim. So now we readjust the setup with the lathe and adjust it so that we're making a 10-degree cut the other way. I'll bring you back just to show you how I got this 10-degree angle. Same deal. I took the 1, 2, 3 block straight against the parallel side of the lathe carriage, and then use a 10-degree angle finder here, 10-degree angle sample that I've got, and set it that way. It's not perfectly adjusted yet. I just wanted to show the technique. Okay, here you can see the setup pretty good. I've got it perfectly adjusted to 10 degrees. I've got it locked down. And I've moved the carriage in place so the cutter is close, and I'll advance the cutter into the work here, and when I get to and I'll move this over this way until I get the right distance, of course. And when I get it exactly perfect for on this first wheel, then I'll lock it down, and then I'll be able to repeat for all the remaining 7 wheels. Alright, that was fast. I made the second cut. I should have blued that, you could see, but I mean the cut comes all the way down to 10 degrees. It ends about here, so it takes off a lot more material than you would think. So I'm done now, and as you can see, it's just about a 1/16 inch wide flat section now. But now I've got lined up my little round file to do the inside here, and then this very smooth flat file I'm just going to round over, just kind of round the top of that edge. And then that wheel will be done, and I'll repeat this for the remaining 7. And there we have it, a basically, well, in my opinion, perfect wheel. So now we'll repeat for all of them. This sure is fun. Hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. Alrighty, I'm going to make this the last segment of this week's episode. Here's the finished wheels. Really excited about how these came out. The next episode next week, hopefully if all goes well, will be dry fitting and everything together, and I will have to make the silver soldering the clevis ends on those little bent bars, but we'll put all that together and get back to you as quickly as we can, and hope you have a great week. Thanks everybody.